readers, there is one more thing called as trends. So these news trends, reading habits keep changing. And the people's interest also, this meeting is being unrestricted. This, whatever the news items that are going into, it should also sync with the trend. It should match with the trend. What is the news item that are trending? Okay, we have to catch hold of that, and so that you can pull the interest of the readers to the discipline or a topic. No matter how concise or detailed an editorial policy may be, it should be define the following issues: the responsibilities of the participants in the editorial and publishing process, the relevant ethical standards, the procedures like peer review. What are the contemporaries are speaking about it? Screening for plagiarism. Like this is the original copy, whatever the reporter, submitting, whatever the news item articles that we are getting, it should first copy. It is nowhere else published or somebody else has not written about it. Okay, it should be free from plagiarism. Dealing with misconduct and retractions. Like you are not, misquoting the facts and all. You should be very careful of that. Next comes the rights, copyright and the user's right. What is an editorial? Types of editorial. So what is an editorial? Basically, an editorial is an opinion of a newspaper on any contemporary issue. Okay, these editorials are written by the editor and his team. Is that clear? The editor who is sitting at the top of the newspaper, whatever are the news items that are happening throughout the globe, out of his expertise, keeping in the mind the history related to that particular issue, they will give a comment. And this comment or opinion is not the opinion of the editor, but the opinion of the publication, that is a newspaper. Editorials are written by the senior staff or the publishers of the publication, often containing the personalized opinions of the publication. So they usually have their page that also includes letters to the editor. So what are these editorials? These editorials are like, though it is an opinion of a publication on the contemporary issue, this editorial will give you a clear picture about, what was the history behind and how it can be related to that of the event that has already happened in the similar note. Okay. Like, these editorial types are also like persuasive, explanatory, obituary, or endorsement. So, persuasive, meant to influence the readers or policymakers to urge them to make a particular stand. Like, somebody has given a capital punishment in connection to some rape case and all. So, as an publication, you might be quoting some other examples on the similar lines. Is the verdict welcoming? Is the verdict, had some connection to that of a previous case that has been coming? What sort of hearing it must have had in the previous cases in the history? So it is like informing, persuading, and making them, focus on. Okay. Next is explanatory or analysis. Still an opinion, but mostly cast new light on the ongoing issue. Localization of a state or referral issues, good example of this. Next is obituary. Laudatory in nature, commentary on a personal living, public service is a similar type. Like obituary is like, recently, like yesterday, a senior leader from CPI, Sitaram Yechuri, passed away. So when some legendary personality is like related to the politics or business or, courts or advocacy and all, depending on their, services they must have rendered in the history. So, commenting on their share of work, how positive it was, like, in addressing to that also, there will be an editorial. Next is endorsement in political races. Endorsements in the sense, whoever is in the race for the election campaigns and all, you are trying to focus on the credentials of that personality, quoting to the history, what role he was playing, and how it could be expected in the coming future. Goals of editorials: to make people think, to influence policymakers, a sway a pending decision by a government agency, to localize issues for readers, to bring it home for them and give it a relevance. Editorial management. One second. Next comes the editorial management. Editorial management is an overseeing of all editorial content as well as the publication management. So this editorial management will take care of editor, checking the copy throughout the publication. The copy has to be errorless. Why this errorless copy? Ante to build up your credentials and credibility in the market. మీరేమైనా మిస్కోట్ ఫ్యాక్ట్స్ చేశారనుకో, ఏవైనా ఫాల్స్ న్యూస్ ఐటమ్స్ ఆర్ ఫేక్ న్యూస్ ఐటమ్స్ కవరేజ్ ఇచ్చారు, లేదంటే మిస్ఇంటర్ప్రిటేషన్ ఆఫ్ అ న్యూస్ హ్యాపన్స్, credibility of that newspaper is lost among the people. So before this publication is out for printing, this editorial board and the management of editorial will take care that the copy is going errorless. Okay, accurate information is going publishing on this paper. They'll make sure that. Apart from that, there is something called letters to the editor, where this team of editorial management will come to the rescue of editor, helping him, reading out and filtering all the letters to editors, like what could be addressed and what could not be, in what terms it should be addressed and all. Apart from that, some columnist and other editorial writing editorials and all. So this editorial management will take care of all that. Without this key management function, publications would not be able to even able to approve articles for print or broadcasting. Editorial meeting. There are everyday situation where editorial staff members, editors, and sometimes even the publishers need to convene and meet regarding content and how the publication is running overall. These meetings are universally called editorial meetings. Editorial meetings are fundamental when running a news organization, as they assemble all staff for multiple reasons. So these editorial meetings are, sometimes just a short notice also, short notice of 5 minutes, 2 minutes also. There should be an urgency in meeting, means every editorial member will come down, like including the publishing house manager and all. They fall into place and then discuss like what is the standards that a news publication is maintaining. And writing editorial. Editorials have introduction, body and conclusion, like otherwise news stories, and objective explanation of the issue, especially the complex issue. So when they are writing editorials, what should be given ante basic introduction. Introduction ante what is the editorial all about? So chinna history or explanation about that here. Editorial should be in the beginning. And then it should be objective, not subjective or biased, taking in favor of, taking in, in the interest of some propaganda or ideology. It should be unbiased copy. A timely news angle. That means an editorial should be something about the most burning issue. It should not be about, somewhere, sometime back, happened and which is not even in the news. You can't, expect an editorial on that lines because people are not interested to read it unless until, it has some connection with the current happening issue. Opinions from opposing viewpoint that refute directly the same issues the writer addressed. The opinions of the writer delivered professionally. So whatever the opinions of the, publications, they are quoted with facts and all. Okay. Then alternative solutions to the problem or issue being criticized. So it can be sometimes critical approach also, like, whether the budget has a positive approach or the negative approach, how is it connected to the past budget? Okay, on what terms it has improved and what are the things that you can suggest out of your expertise, like how best it could have been coming up. A solid and concise conclusion that powerfully summarizes the writer's opinion. Give it such a punch. Writing an editorial, pick up an important topic that has a current news angle and would interest the reader. Collect the information and facts, include objective reporting, do research. State your opinion briefly in a fashion of a thesis statement. Like oka abstract laga rayar. Explain the issue unbiasedly as a reporter would and tell. Oh, yeah. Refute or reject the other side and develop your case using the facts, detailing the figures. And that means refute or reject the other side and when you are trying to give a reportage about, some opinion, some contemporary issues, you have to be, the positive or negatives, whatever you are taking up to, as part of writing an editorial, it should be all coming up with the details in detailing of facts, figures, and quotation. Pick apart other sides logical ending should be there. Concede a point of opposition, they must have some good points you can acknowledge that would make you look rational. Repeat key phrases to reinforce an idea into the reader's mind. Give a realistic solution to the problem that goes beyond common knowledge. Encourage critical thinking and proactive reaction. Wrap it up in a concluding punch that restates your opening remark. So, opening the comments మనం చేసినామో, whether it is positive or negative, whatever the comments that an editorial write-up is making in the conclusion also, it should have a punch up like and a tagline or a quote. It should be closing with a good note, like giving a touch up. Keep it to 500 words. Make every word count. Never use I. I should never be used because it is not a personal opinion. Okay. Tips for writing a good editorial. Be decisive. Your editorial needs to take a firm position on your chosen topic. So, whatever opinion you are taking up to write an editorial, you should have a strong backup to justify your point of view. Offer new ideas, like you can suggest something like what could be the best suggested way, like during the research process, see if there are any aspects to your issue that others have not yet discussed. While anyone can have an opinion, adding something new to a discussion will show that you have put careful thought into your piece of write-up. Provide solutions. If you draw attention to an issue in an editorial, provide some possible solutions that can be, in practical, very approachable. Okay, suggest such. And focus on your interest. Wherever possible, choose a topic that you are passionate about. Your writing will reflect that you are care about the issue, making your page more interesting to read and more relevant to readers. Advertorials. What are advertorials? So there is something called editorial, something called advertorial. Editorials are information-based, write-ups about any contemporary issue, quoting some sort of history and the facts are going into it. Advertorials is like a promotion of a project, of a product or a service or an organization. An advertisement in the form of an editorial is called advertorials. It usually look like a genuine news story on a television. Like, you can tell about the previous class. I was giving this example of, brand power. Brand power, people speak about some product. What are the positives? What are the negatives? How they are tested, whether it is safe or not. So advertisement only backed with, a serious content and research is going into it. Okay. Freelancers or staff writers tend to get assigned editorials with the articles usually taking up entire section. Clients tend to approve the content of editorials, which is not something that happen in regular editorials. Writers do not typically get byline credit for their work on these specific articles. Some publications require them to be visibly indicated that they are form of advertising to prevent complaints. Okay. So understanding advertorials, how best you can understand an advertorial. Advertorial content should match a publication's editorial content in terms of style. For example, the way headlines are written, the type of font they use, the way columns are laid out, and other visual elements. So basically, any advertisement that you pick up to publish in your publication, it should meet up and match up with your style sheet, okay, which has a set the standards of how your copy looks, what sort of color usage is going into it, what sort of type fonts and size the styles that you're using. So everything should fall in place according to your style sheet. Create a value. The content must be relevant and provide real value to the reader. It's all about putting yourself into the shoes and asking what challenges or needs do the readers have, and how can we help them with these challenges through a great content, which is also associated with what we see. What if you don't do this? You will be indifferent to a reader. Be true to media and format. So this we have already discussed. So whatever is your, newspaper publication, try to abide by the laws and the style sheet that is meant to be followed for your entire newspaper. Okay. Go get the reader. Editorial versus advertorial. Editorial is very different from advertorial. Advertorial is a paid article, clearly marked as paid, that accompanies an advertisement. Businesses can write what they want in these pieces, and the stories don't have to have news value. The stories need not be having a news value also. Editorial is an article or a story deemed to have enough news value or public interest by the editorial team to run in the news section bulletin. It is there on merit. Art of editing. So how do you edit it? Read frequently. Okay. Read as many literature as possible. Okay. You are expected as an sub editor or an editor of any copy. You should be a frequent reader of literature. Whatever the literature that is coming across you, you should be a frequent reader. You have to read whatever literature is available. Your ignorance is a crime in journalism. Okay, you can't say like, I was not aware of this. As a sub editor or an editor, you are expected to know something about everything. Okay, read frequently. Understanding writing style. So, as an before you sit to compress the copy or write a headline or use some sort of new terms into the headline writing and all, be very mindful of who is reading it. Okay, what is your writing style? For whom you are writing? Is it for a layman? Is it for a scientist? Is it for a homemakers? Is it for an elderly crowd, or is it for a business house? Be very mindful of writing styles. Okay, each one of them have their own. If it is a literature and all, they have this fantasy, adding imagination, going into the concepts of fantasizing and glorifying the concept. If it is a crime reporter, he has his own terms and terminology to be used. So, like that, understand writing style. Editing principles. What are the principles that you need to? Okay, this all we have already discussed: accuracy, attribution, balance, brevity, clarity, and all. So we'll just skip this, or you want me to read out this? Give the main points of the news in the first paragraph. Tell the story in headline and use a verb to give it vigor. Check names, titles, facts, figures, and dates and address. Wherever slighted, doubt exists. The sub-editor know the reference book which will clear the doubt. Both sides of the story in a dispute must be given. Use short sentences and short paragraphs. Repeat names in court cases rather than refer. I think we have already discussed it in the last class, ninth, right? Somebody there?
Yes, ma'am.
People, I think we have already discussed this. Next comes headlining. So, what is the importance of headline? Characteristics of headline writing and all. Just give me a moment. Yeah, thank you for that. And sorry for that disturbance. So what is a headline? Any headline in a newspaper is an opening window. Okay, it can make an interest of a reader, or it can break the interest of a reader. Am I right? Okay, just by reading a headline, most of the news should be communicated to the layman. Is that clear? What are the functions of headline? It gets the reader's attention. It summarizes or tells about the article. It helps organize the news on the page. It indicates the relative importance of the story. Now coming to the types of headline. Banner headline. Spread across 8 columns. They are rarely used on important occasions to send a signal that something significant has happened. So this banner headline, especially, you can get to see them during the crisis, like Wayanad floods or a landslide or a derailing happens, or during Olympics or during World Cup. Okay, the entire newspaper during budget, especially the entire front sheet will be with one news item. The entire 8 columns will be about one particular story. So the headline which is stretched for the entire 8 columns of the broadsheet is called as a banner headline. Clicker headlines. I think I have taught this, man. Right. Girls, I didn't do this. Clicker headlines. Just give me a moment. Meenakshi, stay away from my class. Go there. Go. 1 second. Let me get a copy of newspaper. Yeah. So there is something called, we get to see 8 columns in a broadsheet, right? We got 8 columns. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So if there is a news item about only one, Wayanad floods, the entire 8 columns with a one headline. Here we have different stories, one story, two story, three story, four stories. But there will be times, during crucial times and crisis, we get to see a reportage about only one particular story. That is a banner headline. Kicker headlines. Kicker headlines are something like, smaller in size. Can you see a line beneath the headline? This is also a headline. This is a kicker headline. Okay. Girls, you there? Kicker headline is something written beneath the headline. Hammer headlines are something written above the headline. Above the headline also we get to see some contents sometimes. Okay. There will be some write-up above the main headline also. Those are called hammer headlines. I don't get to see any news item of such sort. So yeah, let me read it later. Conventional headline used when a headline cannot be written in one line. A line above the main line is different. Half the size of that runs no more than midway compared with the main line is called a kicker. This type of headline is used to dress up a page by giving it variety and clarity. Hammer, it is exactly opposite of kicker. Here, small type is the main headline where the kicker is in the bigger type and usually in a capital letters. Often hammers do not extend beyond one word or two words. Okay. There are times when, where you get to see this is a headline. There is a, kickers here. Sometimes you get to see some content published above the headline also in a broad letters. Maybe one word or two words. Those are called as hammers. Kickers, hammers, and headline. If it is stretched for 8 columns, it is called a banner headline. Boxed headline. As the name indicates, it is framed in a rectangular boxes. Okay. It will be framed in a rectangular boxes. Like this. It will be wrapped up with a line. Especially in a features write-up, you get to see. Multiple deck headline. Flush left, flush right, pyramid and inverted pyramid structure. Okay. We have like this. See, this is a headline. Can you see? This is a headline. And here is the, the other headline. The very news item, underlined and written. Can you see? Right? So these are something called multiple deck headlines. The headline in a broader, kicker, sometimes hammer, sometimes, and sometimes multiple deck headlines. Multi-deck headlines, jump headlines. Jump headlines are something, continued. Continued on page number 8. You get to read at the bottom of the story. Continued in a red color. Okay. That is called a jump headline. Headline giving to continue a part of a story carried in some other pages as a jump story. Labels. Permanent headlines that appear in newspaper regularly, listing viewing careers, city notes, etc. Like you get to see, uh, they will give magazines and classified. Magazines, page 8 pages, classifieds, page number 4. Okay, they'll give an indication. Okay, labels of indications, what is going inside pages. Okay. Barker, in which one line, usually one word, is set in a large type over the deck of a smaller headline. Blanket headline, headline covering all columns occupied by a story or combination of related stories. Like, especially budget వచ్చిnapudu, you must have seen the entire 8 columns. Itla undi half the copy. I folded the copy above the fold. It is above the fold. If there is a news item which is stretching for 8 columns, we call it as a banner headline. Same newspaper, 8 columns, entire page is having the same news item. And the headline will be called as blanket headline. Okay. Block headline. Headline enlarged photographically from proof using for producing headlines in a larger size than normally available. Cross heads on cross headlines. Subheads placed in the text between the paragraphs. Okay, we get to read also, like, between the news items also we have headlines. Usually these days I don't get to read them. But within the same story also we have subheadings running in color. So convictions. Sometimes it goes in color, sometimes it won't be in a color. Can you read a story here? It is a story here. There is something in broad printed here. Okay. This is a subhead. Cross head or cross line head. Okay. Hope it's clear. Then we have something called drop head, in which each letter is set further to the right. Okay. Drop head or a drop cap we have. It is mostly used on an occasional basis. Can you see an F? This is not for the first line. This is going for 3 or 4 lines, right? This is called a drop cap. Similar to this is a drop head. H or T remains the same here. Whatever, letter starts, it should start with the same letter. Okay, something like that. Okay, that is called as a drop head. Eyebrow headline. Short line in a smaller type. Uh, often underlined above the main deck of the headline. Also, a teaser, highline or a strap. Over banner. Okay, banner headline running higher than the nameplate or a flag of a newspaper. I hope you must be knowing what is a banner or a flag. Right? This is the banner. Banner of the newspaper. Okay? Banner head running. Okay, this is the nameplate. Sorry, this is a nameplate, and there will be sometimes, the entire, nameplate of the newspaper will also have a headlines, news items. Okay, overline, display type over a picture. Screamer, crude sensational headline, exclamation marks, question marks, etc. So where is the party tonight? Is Congress going to win the elections? Question marks. Is the cabinet ministry going to approve? Is the bill going to be proceeded in the upcoming sessions of parliament or assembly? Question mark. So those are called as a screamers. Okay, shotgun head. Two or more decks of headline on the same story. Side heads, small subsidiary heading in the body or a story set left instead of centered across. Streamer, headline running across the top of all or most of the columns in inner pages. So sometimes in inside pages also there are some news items which will be covered more than 5 columns. Okay, the entire headline will be called as a streamer headline. Tinted headline, one in which the black of the type of a softened to gray. Okay, tinted means it all goes in a color. Okay, the entire headline will be colored in the background also, not alone the letters but in the background also. Teaser, headline or a caption which rather than informing the reader attracts him to read. So yeah, a teaser, like you must have come across the headlines, how they are framed in entertainment pages. Okay, next comes a headline typography. How a publication or advertisement is designed tells a lot about its target audience and about the image, which type of project, like headline typography, what sort of fonts shall be used, font to size and font to style. Like you can quote an example of this Minute Maid ka, Coca-Cola ka, Pepsi, Lifebuoy, Dettol. They have this unique fashion of writing fonts and font style and size, like fair and lovely. The by the letters itself we'll make out whether it is sometimes if you go to the rural parts of India, there are replicas of this. There will be for fruity they have some other name, but the same font they use. Okay, you have to be mindful of the typography that you use for headline writing. Characteristics of headlines. Okay, what are the characteristics? Headline should be accurate and fact, tone, scope, and it should be focused. Emphasizes on the main theme of the story. Clear, sufficient, grammatical, easy to read, and easy to understand. So headline should be easy to understand for all the people. Vitality through strong and active verbs. Balanced and fair. So any headline should be balanced, objective, and it should be, fair from all the biases that, we come across. Tastefulness. It should meet up to the trends and requirements of the people. What are they looking for? Okay. Then comes fresh and immediate. Whatever the headlines you are writing, it should be about, it should be as fresh as the news. Okay. Legally sound. Okay, any misinterpreted short forms or misrepresenting or defaming somebody and addressing somebody as some other names and all should be kept aside, should never be used, because if you use such things, your paper will be criticized. 1 second. Yeah. So writing headlines, how your headline should be written. Okay. Headline writing is a process of crafting a compelling headline that communicates a distinct benefit to a consumer. Like, the maximum information should be coming into by the headline. Just by reading at the headline, 60 to 70% of the news item should be communicated to the reader. It should be in such a fashion. Short, the best. Less the details, more the information with less usage of words is very best suited to convey the message easily to the reader. Okay, or rather use a photograph or illustration to catch the reader's attention. Like during the budget, you get to see graphical representation, or you can say during election polls and all, you get to see these bar charts or pie charts telling what should, how much percentage of votes can be expected for some XYZ party. So use some sort of photographs or illustrations for the better understanding and pulling the interest of the readers. Headline should be, very formal and, having a good proficiency of knowledge. Full quotes and other descriptive blocks. Lead should also be there. Okay. A lead in the sense it should give some sort of, interest into the reader to read further and get the information. Headlines fall into two categories, standard and liable. What is standard headline? Uses subject verb direct object format or occasionally passive voice. Think action verb. Eliminate articles like a and the. Include verbs in the present tense. Like, from hell to high color, high honor. Okay, it should be like that. Feature on high school group. Okay, something like this. Then comes, it shouldn't, the secondary general category of head is the label head or title. Even though we are familiar with these book titles, for some reasons, editing students seem to have a harder time with them. A label headline has no verb, may have an article. The skills necessary for successful headline writing include accurate perception of the story, that means understanding of the story, a vocabulary that is both broad and deep. So, less usage of words and more information is communicated to the reader. A sharp sense of a sentence structure. So when you are using this, compressing of a copy or using of, good language and all, it should have some sense in connecting different sentences together. A key eye on ambiguity. So there should not be any ambiguity, confusion. It should be whatever you are able to communicate, it should be clean. Okay. Tips for writing headline. Best headline writers are spontaneous and creative. The best headlines instantly come to you. Okay. Headline writers have to be the best writers at the newspaper. Many a times, the best headlines you come up with cannot be printed. cannot be printed because it should be having some illegal, informal way of addressing a topic or hurting somebody's sentiments, right? So sometimes even if your headline is too catchy and all, sometimes it should it will not be acceptable at the editorial board. Many times the best headlines you come up with cannot be printed. Continuity leads to better headlines. One must write them day after day to get good at it. Read others headline to get the ideas, but doing so isn't necessarily going to make you a better headline writer, because already somebody must have quoted that headline. How do you follow that? But only thing you can learn is how to catch the interest and how your way of attracting readers. You should be knowing the trends and you should fall in place with that. Don't repeat the lead in headline. Okay, headline is different, lead is different. Lead is the first paragraph of any news item. Headline is and caption to that news item. Okay, caption. Beware of any unintended double meanings. Okay, never use such sort of words which has a double meaning or the informal meaning going into it. Avoid bad breaks at the end of the line, so such a dangling preposition or conjunctions. Don't get into the habit of relying or squeezing or stretching the headline tight to fit the space. So just I said, like, you should be able to fit your headline within 4 column, 3 column, or 1 column. Don't try to, pull the headline. Rather, write a headline which exactly fits into that without dragging. Okay. Because to trained eyes, it can look sloopy, especially when the doctored headline appears near other headlines. Follow in, house policy. Sub-editors are responsible for overseeing the content, accuracy, layout, and design of newspapers and magazine articles, and making sure that they are in keeping with it. What layout you are making, whatever headlines you are writing, it should fall in, sync with the style sheet. What is the style sheet? A style sheet will speak about what sort of font are used, what sort of color palette to be used, what sort of, font size, style as well as the size is also part of style sheet. Principles of headline writing, again, it is coming here. Make it accurate, uh, use a unique rational, appeal to the interest of the reader, keep short and simple. This guidelines for writing headlines. Know your audiences. Clearly show the benefit of reading. Solves a problem, answer a question, makes life easier, lead to a positive result. So whenever they read an headline, you should be knowing. It should not be having too many technical terms or scientific terms, which is very hard for a common person to understand. So whatever you are writing, it should be, easily understood to the reader, a layman. Speak directly to the reader. Headlines can be catch the reader's attention by calling them out. Rather than using first person, I did something, or third person, she did or he did, use a second person. You did something in your headline, or use phrasing that calls out the group you are trying to reach. In this example, you can see how a headline speaks to the writer. Include numbers or data. Okay, whenever we speak about this budget, or whenever we speak about the school dropouts percentage or ratio of school dropouts or flood affected areas and all, you should be very specific about the data, numerical. So whatever articles you are writing, another way to quickly catch the attention of readers is by putting numbers or data in a headline. Add an emotional or curious angle. Good article headlines engage readers by appealing to emotions or curiosity. Write a basic headline and then see if you can adjust the language to appeal the specific emotion. Uncertainty, excitement, pride. Okay, even a question mark, exclamatory mark, like surprise or a question, giving a suspicious doubt and all, you should be able to pull the attention of the reader. Use such sort of terms just to build up a curiosity for your news article. Don't be clever. It can be very tempting when writing headlines to craft clever headlines using puns and play on words. While this might impress you or your market team, it will likely confuse the readers. So don't be too clever of, using your journalistic skills. Okay, try to keep up your pace to match to a layman or a common man. Okay? It should, whatever headlines you write, it should be easily understood to the people. That keep it as simple as possible. Okay, 5 Ws and 1H. Leverage the 5W and 1H questions. Readers want to know what they will gain or learn from a piece of content. Clearly show them what they will get from the blog post or landing page by using a headline that answers, okay, one of the fives. Okay, this headline should minimum expected is either one or two H and one, sorry, at least two W's and one H. Okay. So that was all about Unit 10. Hope you people are listening.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Monica. So next moving to broadcasting news editing. So far we have discussed about newspapers, headline editing, sub-editor, how the language should be, what is the space allocated, type size, type font size, font style, you know, how's a style sheet, all that we have discussed. Now coming to broadcast media, how editing happens in there. Okay. So in this unit, we shall be knowing about how the news has been, packed up for television and radio or a social media. A copy is the main article or text that carries a news, a story, or a feature. A copy is a text submitted by the journalist. It consists of facts about a news story and comprises the lead, body, and a conclusion. Okay. Any news item that is submitted by a journalist, it will have, it should be compressed in such a fashion that it has a lead, a body, and a conclusion. This lead, body, and the conclusion are written in inverted pyramid structure, where it is, broader in the beginning and becomes narrow at the end. That means broader in the beginning means the most important details are going in the first paragraph. The least important details are buried at the last. Okay. Is it clear? Am I able, are you people able to understand my lecture, my flow?
Yes, ma'am.
Copy helps a journalist narrate the entire incident to the listener. But to do that, he or she need to gather the news from the sources. Sources play a key role in news gathering and reporting. In news writing a copy, the reporter is required to refer to verified sources that can support and enhance the story. Like, as a reporter, you will come across plenty people coming to you and giving information. But as a reporter, you should be capable enough of knowing who are the sources to be trusted and who are the sources who are not to be trusted, because randomly going and asking people about any particular topic, just the same thing cannot go and be telecasted. Whatever they are speaking, check with the facts whether the claims they are making is is has some relevance connection to the topic that you are going around and interviewing them. Okay? This is about that. A copy can draw information from the following sources. Primary source. Just a moment. A copy can draw information from the following sources: primary source, written source, interviews, press releases, statements from authority, tips off. Okay, these are all the sources from where and you get information. Primary source, often the sources is someone that at the center of the event or issue. We call such people primary sources. It might be a man who fell 1,000 meters from a aircraft and lived to tell the tale, or a union leader who is leading the wage negotiations. Okay, any primary source. Okay, it can be any first-hand information, you should say. Written sources. Written sources is like, quoting the history facts. Okay, the literature is already written, published somewhere, and you're speaking about it. Some event has already happened, and you're just quoting in connection to the current contemporary issue. Written reports can make an excellent source of information for a journalist. They are usually written after a lot of research by the author. They have been checked for accuracy and are published with official approval. Like, somebody speaking about health elements or usage of plastic or a plastic water bottle, they try to mention of research which is going into it. The latest research says that majority of the food orders on Swiggy is for biryanis. Most of the non-vegetarian eaters are from the South India. Okay, we are not saying, but there is a research going into it. Who is the organization who have conducted a research and all? They try to quote it. So written resource is already there. They are trying to give a package of news coverage about that news item. Okay, interviews. Any person interviewing a reporter on an issue becomes an important source for a story. These interviews we usually get to see, like, when somebody has achieved something, somebody has given a national award, somebody, assuming a chair as a Chief Justice of India, or a Chief Minister, or a Cabinet Minister, or, a scientist who is, played a role in launching a rocket science and all. Somebody achieved something. Interviews are usually conducted on these basis. Now, press releases. These are the official releases of all the government and private entities. They have, some event to be reported. Before in hand, they will release a press release for all the news media organizations, telling that what is the event, where is the place, at what time, who are the speakers, what is the topic they are going to discuss and all. This press release will have. These are the official statements issued to a media houses, giving information on a particular issue that's making news or newsworthy. A press release gives the organization unofficial stand on an issue and attempts to provide accurate additional information and dismiss any possible rumors. Statements from authorities. So this includes official statements given on a matter by people in charge, such as police, government officials, and heads. Like, in view of coming Ganesh immersion, lot of these statements keep happening, right? Somebody says that the police officials or nati Telangana state police will come on to the picture, says that there is a lot of restrictions imposed on Liberty Road or Tangman Road or Necklace Road. Okay, they have some statements to make. And in connection to Miladum Nabi or Ganesh immersion, Telangana government issued a geo, or chief minister coming into picture and saying that in view of so and so we are declaring it a holiday or something like that. Statements. Okay, tips off. Occasionally some will call with a story tip off by refuse to give their name. They are called as anonymous sources. The sources are there who are sharing information, but they don't want to reveal their identity. Okay, these sources are called as unanimous sources. Anonymous sources. The sources which doesn't have name, identity. Leaked documents. Like, Radia or WikiLeaks ka case. You may occasionally be given documents which have not been officially released to the press. They may give to you by someone in a company or government department who does not want to be seen, giving them to the media. We call them as leaked documents. Preparation of a copy. Okay, how a copy is prepared. Some basic rules that apply to any news copy are as follows. The top left-hand corner of each page should carry your name, the catchline of the story, and the date. A catchline is the word or a phrase that summarizes the story in brief. Do not start a paragraph at the end of one page and continue on the other. Use comfortable spacing and leave good margins on all sides. Always be mindful of the space and keep the story short and crisp. Avoid including repeated and redundant information. Okay, repetition of words, phrases, designations should be avoided. Be sure to fact check all the claims to ensure the authenticity of the copy. Most news copies are written in the inverted pyramid format, allowing the most important news information to be mentioned at the start. It makes it easier for the editor to remove any information they may deem unnecessary from the bottom of the copy. Okay. While writing a news copy, be sure to use a simple language which is easy to understand. Active voice helps convey the message directly and in simple words and must be preferred over passive words. Be smart in the usage of codes. While using abbreviations, make sure to have expanded it on the first usage. Avoid jargon or acronyms. Use correct grammar, spelling, and punctuation to write a professional copy. Tips to keep in mind while preparing copy for broadcasting. So, what are the tips you need to keep in the mind? Short and sweet. Your script should not be long, widening, as it becomes difficult for the listener to remember what exactly you are talking about and what the point of the story is. So, if it is a print, newspaper, magazine, or a journal, lengthy sentences of more than 18 plus words is hard to make out what he read in the beginning and what he is reading at the end. He will lose the connection. Similar with the what you say, television or radio. Use try to keep your story as small as possible so that it is easy to understand the people, for the people. Work on the themes. You need to grab the attention of the listener with your intro, like uh, you can say Prabhas getting married to Anushka or something like that. Okay. Your headline will now pull the attention of the reader to the news items. You can use such headlines. And inside, once you go, you can give a quoting like, in so and so upcoming marry, this both were seen, dressed up like you as a newly wedded couple. Okay. There ends the story. Teaser is different and actual content is different, something like that. Cut out your opinions. If you are a shock jock radio host, sure, interject your opinion. Okay, when you are working as a radio jockey or a television anchor, you have all sort of informal language coming into usage. Okay, whatever is the dialect that is popular, in pulling the interest of the reader or a viewer, it should be used. Okay, fact checking before any information is going into for broadcasting or publishing, it should be packed up with all facts. Broadcast style. What are the styles a television or a radio will have? Okay. Undoubtedly, one of the top priorities goes in write scripts for news, which is generally considered as one of the most formal broadcasts by any situation. High professional writers having a fairly long experience in language and news copywriting are employed to write the copies for the prime time news reels. So whether you are working for print or television or radio, writing skills are mandatory. Okay. Before you present your show on a television or radio, you should be having a written script. Okay. What must be carried in the script is proper language, simple words, small sentences, no jumbling, paragraphing, slugs, ethics, legal, proper terminology. Structure, content, and the style. So, how a structure it should have? What structure do you expect? A news item that is coming into newspapers or a news channels is like Mostly we use what sort of structure? I said inverted pyramid structure. Headline, three W's are communicated. Once after reading headline, if you read a lead, a first paragraph of any news item, the entire story is communicated to you. Okay. News cards, also known as bulletins or news programs, differ in content, tone, presentation style, depending on the format of the channel, station, or which they appear. Just give me a moment. My battery is dying. Let me fix up the cable. The advent of internet has allowed the regular 24-hour day presentation of many video or audio reports, okay, which are updated, even more information becoming available. Many television or broadcasters offer content originally provides on air as well as exclusive or supplementary news content on their website. Local news may be presented by standalone local television stations. Stations affiliated with the national networks or local studios which opt out of a national networking program as a specific points. Like if you see about All India Radio, they have a shows which are like news bulletins. They have relying of retelecasting of news happens from Delhi, right? Like Doordarshan, All India Radio. We do have, still we are in the same like, the structure and content of style packaging of news varies occasionally, especially television and social medias. As the event happens, you'll have this breaking news flashcards running throughout. Okay. Once the information or the you know, heavy rains hit the, city of Hyderabad. If heavy rains are reported, immediately there is an headline coming up, heavy rains are witnessed in Hyderabad. Next news will be more about, giving details into where, what all the areas where the rainfall has happened, what is, sort of, water logging that people are witnessing, all those things. Okay. Audio tape format. Digital audio tape, that is called DAT. Digital audio tape may be used both for the mastering of music recording or with a small portable machines for collection of material on location to be downloaded to a computer for editing and subsequent playback. The disadvantage is that this can only be done in real time, employing the same technology as that of a video recording. A slow speed tape scanned by revolving head. The DAT cassette is smaller than the conventional audio cassette. And as with the video cassette, physical access to the tape is denied. The DAT machine be found in both transmission and recording studios for the recording or playing back of the whole programs rather than the short items or a program. So this digital audio tapes is mostly be used in a live telecasting. Even it can be, recorded later. Sit back, edit, and then you can telecast this. Okay. Audio cassette. Use enclosed reel-to-reel tape 3 mm wide, running at 4.7 seconds. So these are all technicalities. So audio cassette, video cassette, reel-to-reel tapes, all these are the, the gadgets that we use for recording or telecasting of audio. Television news. Television journalism. What is television journalism? It involves more than reporting the news on television. Okay. It is more than what we are reporting on television. It also involves researching and writing stories, collecting facts, following tips and more. Television journalism is the reason we have major television news shows regarding world news, politics, sports, or celebrities. The journalists who work to bring those television shows to life may research stories, write, collect facts, follow up tips, and present information to the public for attention. So, as a television journalism, we must have come across, if you are speaking about budget, if you are speaking about some, department, like making some announcement about, policy making about uh, farming community or agriculture or education or family welfare, health welfare. Like, there was a statement made by uh, the present Chief Minister, Revanth Reddy, like Arogya Shri will be increased to 5 lakhs. So you will be having, the previous history quoting, like how was it earlier, how is it present, okay? You'll have some sort of research going into it. How was it earlier? What was, success rate of this Arogya Shri? How it could be expected in the coming days and all. So a lot of research also goes into this television reporting. Moreover, this television reporting has something called visual. Visuals have to be captured. As and when there is an event about heavy raincast, rainfall in some area, there may be a report or might not be a reporter presented in that particular location. You can have the content published. Heavy rains in Hyderabad, Kukatpalli or Lingampalli or some XYZ area. Once you assign a reporter there, he has to get the visuals of that place. It is something like that. Significance of packaging for news channels. The term packaging comes from the discipline of marketing management. So how you package your news item is basically what we discuss here. It is a part of business strategy used in strengthening the place of a firm in a marketplace. The look of a channel, among other things, defines and reflects its brand image. The brand image of a channel is a psychological image that people carry of it. For example, NDTV 24/7 has a brand image of being accurate and reliable, while CNN IBN has a brand image of being reliable and aggressive. Likewise, Aaj Tak has a brand image of being aggressive as well as the fastest channel to deliver the news. Like the moment I said the Helka.com, this newspaper was known for sting operations. The moment I say ABN Andhra Jyoti, even this newspaper is known for, sensational news, yellow journalism, investigative journalism. The moment I say Hindu, it is, look up to the high formal language usage of terms that is going into it. If I say DC, the most, popular newspaper among the youth. So each news channel also has their own set of, reliability and reputation, and people try to identify so and so, channel knowing for so and so sort of shows. Okay. Likewise, as Aaj has a brand image of being aggressive as well as the fastest channel to deliver the news. It may be observed that each of the major television news channel in India has its look. Aaj uses plenty of red to highlight its aggressive image, while the Star News uses plenty of blues to emphasize its sophistication. The packaging of news channel is thus part of this business strategy to create an image, a psychological image which audiences carry off. Elements of packaging in news. So, what sort of elements are going into it? The predominant color or color combination used by channel. As point out, Aaj Tak uses plenty of red to highlight its aggressiveness, while Star uses blue. The design of the channel logo and its position on the screen. The hairstyles and dress codes defined for male and female anchors of the channel. What do you say? The design used in the making of various graphical elements. These elements includes Astons, the band which appears on the screen during a person's soundbite, stating his or her name and designation. Fonts, the particular form of alphabets used for a text and its size. Bugs, a little band which appears on any given side of a screen, stating the location or time of a story. Next we have slugs, a band which appears on screen during a news story, stating a headline of the story. Tickers, Stickers are scrollers, what we get to say. A static or a scrolling band at the bottom of the screen which flashes important news, text by viewers or sharp pieces. Windows. The screen is split into two or more windows showing two different locations simultaneously. Live news reports. The word live refers to any live coverage of any news item. The reporter will be, giving details from the ground, whether it is, a movie release in theater, a book release, or, a budget, or about a parliamentary hearing, or a press conference, or a press meet. Okay. Live coverage does happen. Even it can be about floods, it can be about, anything that is very live, which is very much happening now. The reporter will be reporting from the ground. That is called live reporting. News bulletin in copy formats. So what sort of formats we have in news bulletin? AVO, short for voice over. Okay, what sort of news bulletin formats? There is something called anchor piece. There is something called voiceovers. There is something called video clipping. Okay, as an editor, you should be, keeping all these elements. Okay, there are tracks, audio track, video track, video track. Then we have something called anchor piece. Then we have something called voiceover piece. Short for voice is a story in which an anchor reads over the picture, also called as anchor voiceover. There is no additional audio except possibly for natural ambient sound that anchor reads over. A soundbite is similar to a radio actuality. It is shortened excerpt of an interview short sound on tape is another name for a soundbite. Okay, these are all the shortcuts of news bulletin. The following points need to be kept in mind for delivering an effective P2C. That is piece to the camera. Okay, piece to PTC means piece to camera. So here VOSOT, short for voice over sound. So whenever you have seen a news element, who will be coming onto the screen? Either a news anchor or a news presenter who will read the headline. Furthermore, when the story goes into the visuals, the live footage or the recorded footage, okay, now we have some visuals. Just they'll read out the budget, the anchor will present the headline, then comes the visuals of budget and the voiceover artist telling them. Okay, then comes P2C. P2C is a piece to camera, is a television and film term used to when a presenter or a character speaks directly to the viewing audiences through the camera. Okay, live reporting, we get to see this piece to PTC. PTC. That is, an anchor will ask, now we have our crime reporter, reporting from, so and so place. So this anchor, this reporter will address to the anchor and there is a coverage of it going simultaneously. That is P2C. Position camera on the tripod and ensure the lens is level with your eyes. Do a wide balance. Zoom out as per. So this is all a practical component. Okay, unless until you use the camera, we won't be knowing. So far, we have done with Unit 11. Unit 12 is left out. Shall we proceed further? Do you have any other classes scheduled for the day? You have any other classes, students?
Having
Hello? Okay, any questions so far? Sir, any questions? Any queries?
Madam,
Are you
in
people there?
previous class, Madam, in previous class, you share the side of PPT.
We shall be doing, sir. The problem I said you, I'm not able to connect my My network has a problem here with my laptop. That's the only issue. Otherwise, yeah. Valid point, but I'm unable to share through my mobile as well. I tried doing sharing my screen, but it wasn't visible the last time. Yeah. Sir, by any chance, can I extend my lecture? Are you people there? Do you have a next class? Are you done with your classes?
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
No, Monica. My question is, do you have any other class after this? ఇంకేమైనా క్లాసెస్ ఉన్నాయా సార్? హలో.
Hello, ma'am.
Okay. Got it. Sir has posted. Yes, having ma'am. Okay, sir. Yeah, then. So we shall call it a day. Tomorrow also we have classes, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Any other things to be discussed? Any other thing, ma, that you want to discuss? Otherwise, we shall call it a day then. I think there's only unit left out, no? Unit 12. Why only 4? Where are the other people? Were they attending the previous classes? Okay. Okay then. We shall leave. Join your next class. If there is no class, please let me know. We can have a class and we can finish it off if possible. I'll speak to Sunil sir if I can do that. Okay. Have a good day. Happy weekend.
Thank you, ma'am.
Have a good day. వస్తలేదబ్బా పోయింది అది ఇది పిపిటి కూడా కనిపిస్తలేదు ఇది షేర్ కొడితే ఇట్స్ నాట్ గోయింగ్ సీ షేర్ ద స్క్రీన్ పిపిటి అసలు అది అలా
బియ్యం పురుగులు పట్టకుండా పుష్ప ఉప్పే ఉప్పు, పసుపు, లవంగాలు, మిరియాలు పెట్టి అలా పెట్టేయాలంట. ఇది దొడ్డు పేరు. అయితే పురుగులు రావంట. చల్లగా ఉంటుంది అని. ఉప్పు, పసుపు, లవంగాలు, మిరియాలు. ఓ అదే మన టిష్యూ పేపర్ ఉంటుంది చూడే, సాల్టు, ఇంకా పసుపు, ఆ, 3 లవంగాలు, మిరియాలు వేసుకొని కట్టేయాలి. రబ్బర్ బ్యాండ్ పెట్టించి బియ్యం సంచిలో పెడితే పురుగు రావట్లే. సన్నుప్పు సన్నుప్పు కొంచెం పసుపు వేసి, 2-3 లవంగాలు, 2-3 మిరియాలు వేసి టిష్యూ పేపర్ తీసుకొని కట్టేసి రబ్బర్ బ్యాండ్ పెట్టి బియ్యంలో ఇట్లా కొంచెం తీసి పెట్టాలంట. పురుగు రాదంట. మంచిగా ఉంది కదా ప్రొసీజరు. డేంజర్ కూడా ఏం లేదు. డేంజర్ కూడా ఏం లేదు కానీ